Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another video on budgeting Q&A where I am answering your questions. All of the budgeting videos as well as the Q&As that we have done so far will be linked in the drop-down box below as well as the blog post. One of the big questions that I have been presented with is credit card use. So today's Q&A is going to be specifically targeting credit cards. We will be discussing some statistics that are out there that I think some of you may find interesting. So I've got all of my documentation. What I am going to do is I am going to start out with just a couple of the credit card questions that were presented to me. Pretty much all of the questions were about the same. And then I have one question at the very end that I want to tackle. The first one says, I am interested in finding out why we should not use credit cards to get points. I just received an extra $220 in my Costco account. I pay off my credit card each month. However, I love the idea of the envelope system. Another question says, would love to hear your opinion on why you don't support points in credit. Let's get started with some reasonings behind this. I feel that the subject of credit card use is very individual. There is no question that some people do know how to be disciplined and work with a credit card. On the other hand, most do not. 75% of all households do not pay off their credit card debt. That means 25% of us are doing it right and 75% of us are doing it wrong. To me, that clearly shows that we have a problem with credit cards. So even if you are that 25%, that person that is paying off your credit card bill every single month, I would have to believe that even you would recognize that most people don't fall into that class. We are all very different and the statistics don't lie. The other thing that you have to understand is look at all of the commercials that we see on television. Look at all the flyers that come in our mailbox with 0% interest, 1% interest, reward points for this, frequent flyer miles. Obviously, those luring mechanisms are working because we are bombarded each week with mailings that come in our mailbox and commercials that are on television. There's a reason that they are continuing to do it. It's because people fall prey to these marketing scams and it is getting people in trouble. 60% of families carry a credit card balance of $15,799. Again, 60% of all families. There's a big problem. And again, it always boils down to what I talked about in my other videos is the big D word, and that is discipline. Too many people are not disciplined. And one of the reasons this is happening is because people are not planning for their secondary bills. Again, if you don't remember what secondary bills are, you're going to have to go back to the original budgeting videos that explains how the whole system works. People aren't charging their primary bills because they plan for those. What's happening is people are not planning for their secondary bills, and this is what gets them into trouble. They're not looking ahead. They also are not doing their January through December document where they can see what do I need to plan for. Let's talk a little bit more about the reward points that come with credit cards. Statistics have shown that 12 to 18% more is spent when using a credit card versus using cash, or we could even say debit card. I think using cash is probably always going to make somebody the most conscious about their spending. But if you are a debit card user, most people don't like to carry much cash, you still think of it the same way. I know for myself, using a debit card is pretty much the same as cash, and I am definitely going to think about my purchases. But 12 to 18% more is spent. Another statistic that was just shared was by McDonald's. McDonald's claims that when a customer pays with credit card, they will spend on average around $7 for their purchase versus customers that are paying with cash or a debit card are spending around $4.50 on average. You can see where we justify spending more when we are using a credit card, especially when it comes with points. Because hey, it's easy, I'm getting something back. We already know that we as a society have this thing about being rewarded. Hey, I bought it because it was on sale. How many times have you heard that? Hey, I can purchase this because I'm getting something back. It's racking up my reward points. I believe many people, and maybe most, have the intention that I'm just going to pay this off at the end of the month. But let's go back to why that isn't happening. The biggest reason it's not happening is because the secondary bills are not being planned for. If you go to the comment sections of all my videos, including the Q&A, you will see over and over where people will say, I thought I had the system down, but what I was failing to do was plan for my secondary bills, and that is what's gotten me in trouble. The other thing that you have to plan for is your January through December document. That again is what is getting people in trouble. School shopping for next school year in the fall is right around the corner, but many people aren't already planning for that. So it's going to be very easy to pull out that plastic and purchase all of the kids' clothing with credit. And what's going to happen a lot of times is we're going to spend more. I kid you not. I kid you not. Believe me. I mean, the studies are there. The statistics are there. If you are purchasing the kids' school clothes with a credit card, it is so easy to spend more. But if you had cash, if you had $300 in cash, you're going to stick to that $300 in cash. We're not justifying it as much. When we are using cash, we are more conscious about our decisions. We are more mindful. Now I want to hit on when credit cards can be a good idea, because I'm not against credit cards. Again, I believe there is a purpose. Some of you that have commented, I can clearly see you are disciplined, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that when we get into the final question. Credit cards are a wonderful way for a child to establish credit. I say child, young adult to establish credit. The important thing is, and what we teach our girls, because our young adult girls all have credit cards so that they can establish credit. We support that. We've also taught them how to use the card properly so that if they want the reward points, perfect. But there's a proper way to use your credit card to establish credit. What we have advised our girls to do, and they're doing it, is to make small purchases with your credit card, and then every single month you pay it off. And that is exactly what they are doing. And a lot of it is what you watch your parents do. A lot of times kids will follow suit to that. So always remember that to lead by example. Your kids are watching you. So if you're constantly throwing the plastic out, they're seeing that. But it's an opportunity for you to explain to them, yes, you will see me use my credit card, but let me explain how I use it. I get the rewards back. We pay it every month. So I'm not against credit cards. Again, our young adult girls do use them. This is a great form to establish credit, but you got to teach them the discipline skills, because they can get in over their head, and that is not what you want to happen. It always boils down to educating. If you have a young adult child and they cannot get a credit card, this may be a time for you to co-sign for them to get one. There also needs to be boundaries set, and you need to also be watching what is happening. You need to be watching their transactions. If your name is on there, it shouldn't be freedom reigns. You sit down, you say, I'm going to co-sign for you to get this credit card. I also get to watch the transaction you're making. It's very important to stay on top of things, because again, they can get so in over their head if they are allowed to just run free. Let's dive into this last question because I want to talk about it a little bit. This person says, my husband and I use a credit card that earns cash rewards to pay everything. But every time we use it, I deduct that amount from my checking account, just like you do with a debit card. When the bill comes, I write a check to pay it. But the amount, listen to this part, but the amount has already been deducted from my account balance. That's a key thing this person is sharing. We earn cash rewards all month by using the credit and subtracting from our account balance as we use the card. This lets us know what our true balance is. This is a perfect example of somebody that knows how to use a credit card properly. And the important key words here is they're deducting as they're using it from their account, just like it's a debit card. A couple things that I assume from this comment is, number one, I'm going to guess that the person that wrote this, they and their husband have no debt. That is going to be my assumption, is they don't have debt. So they probably don't even do the envelope system because they really don't need to. They have a system that is working for them. They also are deducting as they purchase. So let's say the husband stops at Cabela's on his lunch hour and he purchases something. He's using the credit card. He is probably coming home with that receipt and handing it off to his wife, and she goes right in and she deducts it just like she would from a debit account. This method works for them. This is a perfect example of when a credit card is going to be resourceful because they're getting the rewards back, but they are not in over their head. They have the money. They probably have no debt. Perfect example would be my own mother. My mom uses a credit card for everything, because again, she is getting the reward points back, but she never carries a balance. She's disciplined, she has the money, she doesn't have any debt, so it works for her. It can work for people, but clearly 75% of all households or individuals it's not working for. Do the math. Look at the average balance. It's almost $16,000 per household. Clearly, there's an issue with credit cards. You cannot deny that. You really cannot. But again, certain things you have to say. Ask yourself right now, those of you watching, ask yourself right now, is having a credit card a good idea for me? Do you have a credit card balance currently? That would be my question for you. These are the things that you have to ask yourself. Have I planned for the secondary bills? Have I planned for all the upcoming events and purchases that I need to make between January and December every single year? Am I looking at that document every single time I get paid to make sure I'm staying on top of it? Do I have an envelope system? Again, credit cards can work, but it's only working for a small percentage of people. Most people, it is not. Well, again, thank you so much, all of you, for so many wonderful questions, so many wonderful comments, so much sharing has taken place. It's so key to go to the comment sections of my videos because there is so much more information there. A lot of other questions have come up. How do you plan for taxes? Do you have an envelope for that? How do you handle this? How do you handle that? A lot of those answers are in the comment section, so be sure to check them out. I am going to end the budgeting series with this video today, so if you want more, I encourage you to follow me on Snapchat. I share a lot of content on Snapchat every single day. I can generally tell those that don't follow me there, and if you did, you would know so much more. We've talked about investing, we've talked about things that we've done with our children. It's really imperative that you are following if you want all the goods, all the goods. So We could do an investing video in the future if that inspires or sounds good to you. I know a lot of people have reached out, so let me know on that. And anything else that you would like me to share on or do a video on. Once again, thank you for joining me. Can't wait to move on to the next series, whatever that may be. And we will see you in the next video. Have a good one.